A very specific type of database that's available inside of many Moodle courses is the creation of a course glossary. Glossaries can be found both in the Activities block on the left-hand side under the Glossaries link, or found throughout your course in the main content sections. All the glossaries have an icon to the left of them that look like an open book. In our case, our course has two glossaries, the main glossary and a reference library. Let's go ahead and look at each of these glossaries and see how they work. To begin, I'll click on the link for the main glossary. Here, we have a listing of a variety of different terms that are going to be used throughout the course. You'll also notice that there's a couple of links that are set up. Here, the word hermatypic corals is a link, and if I hover the mouse over it, I can see that this is a link in the main glossary. Well, if we look up, here's the word hermatypic coral. So what this Moodle course is doing is that anytime this particular term, hermatypic coral, shows up anywhere throughout our site, that term is going to be created as a hot link that will, if we click on it, pop open a window that'll take us directly to the definition of that word. Inside of our glossary, we can also do things like search for individual terms, browse alphabetically, browse by categories if they're set up, browse by date, which would list out all the different terms by date, or browse by the author that created those entries. We also have the ability to go in and sort our glossary by just showing all of the words that begin with a particular letter of the alphabet. In this case, if I click on the link for H, only the word hermatypic coral remains showing. To look at all the glossary entries, I'll click on the link for all again, and all the entries will appear once more. Many glossaries on the right-hand side of the entry will have a small little icon that allows you to add a comment. If we click on this, here we can go in and add additional information or comments about this particular glossary entry. It's a great way for you to add additional information and resources to individual entries inside of a glossary. Let's go ahead and go back to the main glossary by clicking on the link for main glossary in the breadcrumbs at the top. Now we already saw how the word hermatypic coral is linked, but let's go in and look and see how that works in another page. If I return back to the main course by clicking on Biology 432, and then inside of the first week of content, I've got a link for a page called Coral Zooxanthellae Symbiosis. If I click on that link, I can see a page that's been written by my instructor that's got a lot of information inside of this document. Everywhere that the word hermatypic corals, which is listed inside of the glossary, appears, if I click on that word, a pop-up window opens up giving me the definition of that term. I can always close that window and go and click on the link for another term, such as zooxanthellae, and now I've got detailed information about what a zooxanthellae is. I can go ahead and close the window again, and we'll also note that we've got some references that are listed here as well. The first reference is listed is Dustin 1979. If I click on that link, I get another window that pops open that has a detailed description as to what that reference is. Here, the term in this glossary is the name of the article as it's appearing inside of the document. So Dustin 1979 would link me directly to the full reference for this library. I also have a link directly out to the reference library. Let's go ahead and close this window, and let's add a glossary entry for the Glenn 1993 article. To do this, I'll return back to the main course by clicking on Biology 432, and then I'll go into the reference library glossary. Here, I can see that I've only got one entry currently in my database, but I can add a new entry by clicking on the Add New Entry button up here in the top center of my window. Now, I can add in the concept name. In this case, I want to add the name of the reference as it's going to appear in the text. So I'll go ahead and type in Glenn 1993. Then, in the definition for this window, I'll type in the full reference to this article. Glenn P. W. 1993 Coral Reef Bleaching Ecological Perspective. It's in the journal Coral Reefs, Volume 12, pages 1 through 17. Now I can go in and also add a little formatting to this page by selecting the journal title and then clicking the bold button at the top. Now the term coral reefs is going to appear bolded because it's the journal that this reference is in. I'll go ahead and scroll down to the bottom of the page. If there are any categories that have been set up by my instructor, I could select those categories here. I could also add additional keywords if I needed to, such as in this case, coral bleaching, to let other users know that this article is about coral bleaching. If I want to attach a document, I could do so here as we've seen in other movies. This may be a great place if we've got a PDF reprint of this article that we could link directly back to this reference in our library so that other students would be able to not only find the reference, but would be able to read the full text of the article. Finally, we have a section here for auto-linking. Now, auto-linking may or may not be available on your server. It is available on this server, and it's what's making these links possible. So I want this article to be auto-linked, so I'll check the box that says this entry should be automatically linked. Then I get the ability to check additional boxes that allow me to say whether or not I want this entry to be case sensitive. I don't want this entry to be case sensitive, so if anywhere Glenn 1993 appears, then it will automatically link back. So I'll leave the first box unchecked. Finally, it asks me if I want to match whole words only, and I definitely want to check that, because otherwise I don't want to have everywhere the numbers 1993 appear. I don't want them to link back to this article. I want the entire phrase Glenn 1993 to create the link back to this article. I'll go ahead and click the Save Changes button, and now that reference has been added into our library. Let's go ahead and check and see if it got added correctly into that Coral Zooxanthellae page. So I'll go back up to my course by clicking on Biology 432, and then come down to the Coral Zooxanthellae symbiosis article that we clicked on earlier. Now when we go into this article, we can see that the reference for Glenn 1993 is now a hot link. I can click on that link, and it takes me directly to the reference that I just created inside of my glossary. Let's go ahead and close this window and return back to our main course by clicking on the Biology 432 link at the top of the page.